Hello, everyone. Welcome back to NRCAL's Educational Technology webinar series. My name is Minhee Son. I'm the program coordinator of NRCAL. And today we have Dr. Hue-An Ren, who will be presenting on Adobe Spark. And this is the second tool in the series, Fostering Creativity with Multimedia Projects. Please note that we are recording the webinar and this is for educational purposes only. If you would like to rewatch the video, the recording, you can always go to our website, fullerton.edu/nrcal/distance learning. And as always, please spend 2 or 3 minutes before you leave the webinar to provide us feedback so that we can address your needs when we plan our next set of webinars. Okay, that's it from me. Hue-An?
Hi, thank you so much for having me again. Can you believe this is our 7th webinar together, and it's been quite an adventure. And I hope that we've been able to bring you something that has been that you're able to use in your classrooms. So. I am going to go ahead and share my screen with you so that we are all ready to go. Today is all about Adobe Spark. And I have presented, thank you. I wish I could say I did go there, but my photography skills are not that great. But it's a Zoom virtual background and it's there if you guys want to talk about it. But Adobe Spark is one of my favorite applications, and I have presented it for a few years now, and it's just getting better. And I think I am just getting into the Adobe foray, the world of Adobe, and that's probably why I'm seeing that it's getting better. But they recently made a very smart decision by offering an education version of their product. So today we're going to be talking about it and how you can access that education version, which is free. So imagine having all the Adobe tools at your disposal free for education purposes. So today we're going to be talking about Adobe Spark, which is one of the very, very, very small piece of their software and their offerings for education. So without any further explanation, let me introduce myself. My name is Hawaiian Ren, and I am an instructional technology TOSA, which stands for Teacher on Special Assignment, which means I was a teacher in the classroom. I no longer have a classroom of my own. I am dedicating all of my time on how to use technology for instructional purposes for our teachers. So I spend my days learning about technology and then doing professional development for teachers on how to use that technology in their classroom. Not only do I do that, I am also a professor for the master's program here at Cal State Fullerton in the educational technology program. I work there doing research work behind there, so I do enjoy working in that capacity. I also work for UCI, teaching technology to admin credentialed students. So do a lot of technology, and I enjoy it quite a bit. So I get a chance to really talk to a different spectrum of people. So I'm looking at leaders, and I'm looking at students and teachers, and so the whole spectrum of learners that I have that I get to work with. So as you can tell, I really do enjoy educational technology and what it can do for our students. So I'd like to start off today's presentation just by thinking about what are some ways that students create in school, right? What are some ways students create in school? If you think about what you're doing in your classroom, then how are you offering them an opportunity to create? So when I thought about this question originally, I thought, oh, my students create all the time. But I do remember a few years ago, before I left the classroom, I've been gone for a few years, but I do remember a few years ago that I asked my students one day, and this was before, when I left the classroom, I had no devices, so we weren't completely digital in my classroom. But I asked my students, and I taught 5th grade, the last few years before I left. I remember 5th grade students, and I said, all right, you guys, let's take out your crayons. We're gonna do a little bit of drawing and a little bit, and it was towards the end of the school year, probably in May or April, and many of their crayons were brand new and they hadn't been used. And I thought, oh my goodness, what am I doing to my students that I am not giving them this chance to create and be, and draw and just, flex those problem solving skills, because in the end, creativity is a problem solving skill, because what you're doing is you're learning how to solve problems in a way that you can communicate what you're thinking. So you have an image in your head, and you want to be able to make that image come alive so that other people can see it. So you are problem solving by saying, how do I get people to see what I want them to see? And that's a skill that we need to give our students. Our students need to have opportunities to do that. And from that moment on, I remember thinking, that's never going to happen again. I am never, ever going to prevent my students from being able to use their creative aspects. So I've been able to find different ways for students to create in making media, in making movies. I've shown you different ways to create in making infographics and writing and all those different types of skills. Today, we're going to be working on creating movies. So this one is a very simple slideshow/movie tool that will allow you to create and let students create, but also have inherent scaffolds so that students can create easily without having to come across too many obstacles. But then they also have the ability to continue and do amazing things as well. So let's take a look in our chat window. As I'm going to send out the link to this presentation. While I'm doing that, can you do me a favor and put in the chat window your experience with Adobe Spark? So when I sent you that link, I activated the chat window, which means you probably got a little notification popping up on your Zoom screen. And will you do me a favor and type in the chat box one that you've never heard of it, before, you've never even used it before. 10, you've used it in your classroom, you think it's amazing and wonderful. 5, you're kind of in between, you've heard of it, but you've never actually implemented it. And then of course 2, 3, and 4, or 6, 7, and 8, depending on where you fall. So 1 to 10 on what it is. So we don't have any 10s, which, okay, so now I know kind of how to paste the presentation today. So we have a lot of 1s, a lot of 5s. So you've never heard of it, which means you're coming back for a presentation that you've never heard of. That makes me feel so special. Rebecca, you have used it. Great. So by all means, any tips and tricks that you've had in your classroom, please let us know. We would love to hear your perspective. Oh, we do have someone who is a 10. That means you've used it before and you love it. Great. Again, those of you who are users of Adobe Spark, by all means, please jump in and chime in whenever you see something or you have a tip for our users. The best, the smartest person in the room is the room. So everyone's perspectives are welcome. So the thing I love about Adobe Spark, it is device agnostic, meaning it will work on a computer, a Chromebook. It will also work on a mobile device. We see iPads most frequently. We only have iPads in our district, but there are other districts that have tablets, Android tablets, but it is device agnostic. So no matter which device you're using, the platform looks exactly the same, which is great, especially if you're making tutorials or you're showing students where to find certain buttons and so forth. If you are using a computer that would use your browser, then you would go to this website, spark.adobe.com. If you were using a mobile device, you would go to and add these apps. These are the 3 education apps that they offer. Today, we're just going to focus on video, which I find is powerful and an easy way to jump in, and it does things that other video applications are not able to do. So if you have an iPad and you want to try it on an iPad, you're welcome to go ahead and download the Adobe Spark Video app, but it looks exactly the same. So you might have a little bit more fun just using it on the internet browser. So today we're going to be going to spark.adobe.com. I believe I did share my sound. So Minhee, can you confirm that the sound works when I press? So here are some student samples. This one came from Adobe itself. So.
I will keep my laptop safe at all times. I will charge my laptop every night and bring it to school. I will never put my computer on my head. Instead, I'll hold it in a hugging pose at all times. I I will ask my parents for permission before adding stickers and wallpaper. I will always keep my passwords private. I will always ask for permission when using Hangouts or chat. I will be kind and mindful of others when I'm online. I will ask for permission when taking pictures of my friends before posting. I will not share private information like my full name, my address, and my birthday. Let's all be great digital citizens and have a great year. Bye! Thanks for watching.
So that's a student who created her video, her video on Adobe Spark. And it's really, this particular video can be done with a narrative. First you write the script, then you add the media. It's very, very easy to do. So I always recommend that. And we'll talk more about building in a moment. And here's a group project that was done in our district. I don't think it's going to play. Oh, here we go.
Apple is one of the world's most valuable brands. So what makes Apple Apple? Apple sells products of mobile communication, media devices, personal computers, and portable digital music players. Examples of their products include the iPhone, Apple TV, and Mac. Apple purchased Beats in 2014 and Shazam in 2017. But of course, with all of the products they sell and display, how much is their corporation worth? Apple is worth about $945 billion. Shares are up more than 13% this year, which is far better than the overall market.
What have they done in the past to expand their business, you might ask? In the past, they started branching out into MP3 players known as iPods and a media player software known as iTunes. In December of 2017, Apple was able to buy Shazam, the music app, which is an example of vertical merging. Although they're a widely recognized company globally, there's always lurking competition when selling products such as computers and smartphones. And having so, the company plans to focus more on the HomePod, which is a way to have Siri everywhere. Just like any other company, Apple has positive and negative stories about their corporation as well. On December 20th, Apple admitted its iOS software slows down the performance of older iPhones. The company says iOS does this to counteract problems found in aging lithium-ion batteries. However, Apple recently released the newest iPhone, the iPhone XS and the XS Max. The question for all companies is whether or not they have a monopoly. Apple is not a monopoly because there are other rival competitions such as Samsung and Microsoft. They try to control their competitors by releasing updates occasionally and releasing new products every year, and that being the new iPhone Xs this year. Thank you for listening on about Apple, and don't forget to like and subscribe down below.
So they wanted to publish that, and I'm sure they did. They're very smart students and very lucrative opportunities when they're creating media. But that was done in their economics class. And it's such a great way of just seeing how an economics class is creating media, right? They're creating a presentation. Normally you'd see a presentation like that where the students come up, they stand in front of the room, everyone pays attention, and it gets a little bit mundane. It's the same thing over and over again. But if you give students the opportunity to create media like this, you're giving them more tools. This is more realistic. They got to the point where they wanted to publish this on YouTube, right? So you heard if you like this, subscribe for more. And so that was the goal. If you ask any student right now what they want to be when they grow up, the answer is always going to be, I want to be a YouTuber, right? So give them the skills to be able to create media so that eventually they can be a YouTuber. But Adobe Spark is the best foray into that. So you saw the Digital Citizenship Pledge. That was done by, I believe, a 4th grader. And then this Apple Incorporated was done by 10th grade students. So you see the span of how diverse this particular tool is. I go into a classroom every single year and I do this lesson for 2nd grade students all the time. And it's just we can get it done in an hour, one lesson done in an hour. So it's really nice, one video. Some other possible applications for Adobe Spark, anything really where you can create media, anything where a student has to do a demonstration or has to do a speech is where this particular tool can be found. But you can find Adobe Spark when people are using it for speech and language, for sight words, for if they're writing a narrative essay, they can use that to animate their essay, second language acquisition, story starters, poetry assignments, creative storytelling, photo essays are very powerful in Adobe. Foreign country tourism videos. I've seen a lot of really neat projects where students learned about different cultures, and they were able to grab these images and videos and then talk about these cultures. Trip reports, student portfolios, classroom newsletters, all these. I mean, this was only half of the list that I was able to find on ways that people have been using Adobe Spark in the classroom. So it's just a really, anything that you want them to present on, you can use Adobe Spark for. So it's a really nice platform and easy to do. So I'm going to skip through the next couple of slides because they are screenshots of what it actually looks like when you get into the program so that you can see. But if you have a copy of the presentation, hopefully up here at the top, you can just put add. So then you can add this presentation, add it to your drive. So you can add it to your presentation. You can find it whenever you need it. So if you ever wanted to, you can go back to the slides and take a look at these. But when you start in Adobe Spark, this is what it's going to look like. And I'm going to go into the platform so you guys can see what it looks like. But when you're in there, you can add video files, text, photos, icons, all sorts of fun things. And it's really nice way of doing this quickly and easily, right? And then you can customize things like the layout, the theme, the music, and all that good stuff. So let's take a look at one of the platforms. So when you log in, you're going to log into spark.adobe.com. And feel free to open up another window and play along as you like. But you're going to log into spark.adobe.com. And like I said earlier, you get a whole slew of tools for Adobe. I am using my personal account, so it is not registered as an education account, but for the purpose of keeping things separate from my work tools, I am able to use just the personal account to demonstrate. So when you're in here, you're going to see all these different formats. People use Adobe Spark to use personally. They use it for all different things. A really fancy Instagram story, Instagram post, Facebook, but this is their way of using really beautiful graphics to be able to create, just like we would do in like Canva or anything like that. But Adobe Spark, what you want is the slideshow, because the slideshow is the actual video portion. And I told you earlier that Spark is half slideshow, half video. Because when you build it, you're building the slides. And then when you export it, you export all the slides out to make it into a video. So it's a really nice feature. So I'm going to just click here for slideshow video. And this is the part where you can just start with a title or a word to help you motivate yourself to get those creative juices going. Oftentimes this stumps our students. Whenever you start here, it stumps your students, and the students are like, I don't know what you want me to, or do I have to have a title? Well, you don't have to. You can skip this part. So just tell your students just to skip it. And when they skip it, you have all these options for different themes. These are story templates, right? And the only reason why you would want one of these themes is if you wanted a particular like soundtrack or transition to create a feeling, right? The hero's journey is going to be very dramatic at the end, right? It's going to be very building and then dramatic at the end. Or this one will have also all different types of transitions. But I usually just skip this part and start from scratch. Notice the bottom part right here where it says start from scratch, because I want to be able to personalize these other things. So I'm going to start from scratch. And that's going to give you a generic template with the default settings. It's going to give you just the very first one. Here's a little tutorial. If you want, you can X out of this. If you click here on this checkbox here, it won't ever show you the tutorial again. You are getting a 1-hour live tutorial, so you really don't need this at this point. But this is what it looks like. So you notice that over here, you have your design, and then down here at the bottom, you have your slides. So you can add another slide. This is the first slide, the one that we're on. These are the credits, which you cannot change, because what's beautiful about Adobe, and I know some people mentioned this last time we did a creativity PD, is that any image that you use from Adobe will automatically be cited in the credits. So if you use some of their images, it will automatically be cited in the credits, which is wonderful. Not only does Adobe have the license to use it, it will cite it appropriately. So when students are using things, they're able to really make sure that they're following attribution licenses. And then, so what we can do here now is let's take a look at the layout. So the layout here is we have either one full page, that's what we're on right now is the full screen. We can do a split screen. If we do a split screen, you get text, you get an image on, or an element on one side, get another element on another side. or we can do a caption where it's a full screen. You're putting in something in the background and then you do a caption at the bottom. Or you can just do a standard title and text. So this box is for whatever's happening in the background. This is for the title. This is for the subtitle or the text. So I always like to open with the title and the text. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to write my presentation. And then here I'm going to write, this is worth your time. Trust me. Okay. So there's my presentation, and I want to add a background. It seems really simple and plain right now, so I want to add a background. This, by the way, is my logo that I use for another business that I run. So this is my logo. So I paid for this logo to be here. You will not have that logo. You'll have the Adobe Spark logo on yours. So let's pick something to go in the background. Do I want a video or do I want a photo? Earlier you saw there were some videos that would run in the background. Let's use a photo. And here I can upload one of my photos. Now, this is where you need to have that conversation with students. We talked earlier about Creative Commons and copyright. If students are taking things from Google, they have to know that they have to follow Creative Commons. When you're working within Google, it filters that for you. But if you're working in something like this and you want to just upload a photo, you don't have that filter. So if at all possible, have them stay down here. Have them stay in this area right here. Find free photos if you can. And then, so if you go into free photos, I can look for a dog, since dogs are so easily, I can look for any of these dogs right here. And these guys, oh my goodness, I always get so distracted. And I like, this little guy looks good. Another reason why I like this one is because it's sideways. You see how it's landscape, just like my presentation. So I'm gonna go with that, and I'm gonna stick that in there. And look, that's perfect. I should probably change my title to match that. My future dogs. All right, so these are my future dogs, and this is the presentation that I plan on making for my parents so that they know that these are the dogs I hope to have someday. My first slide looks good. Let's move to the next slide. I'm gonna go down here, add another slide. I'm gonna put a split screen in here. Over here, I can add another photo. I can add a video if I wanted to. The videos will come in from my computer. They don't have any stock videos for you, so you'll have to record the video yourself. So they'll come in from my computer, or I can add an icon. And I love these icons. Here's a dog, right? And so maybe my first slide is going to be feeding a dog. Or you know what? I'm not going to do feeding today. It might be too hard to find. So dog food. There we go. Let's see if I can find something that has dog food. These are icons. And an icon is very similar to like an infographic, right? And these are all icons we can use. Our students have a whole plethora of icons to put into the into their presentation. So I'm going to use this one right here of a person putting dog food into a bowl, right? Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tell my parents, I promise to feed the dog every day, twice a day. Okay, now I'm very excited about this. So what I want to do now is, you notice the microphone down here at the bottom. I'm going to record myself speaking this. Okay, and all I have to do, I do have to, can you guys see the pop-up menu right here? I'm not sure if you can see this pop-up menu. Okay, I'm noticing that you're not. So when you click on the microphone for the first time, you're gonna get a pop-up menu up at the top. If you're using Chrome, it's gonna be up at the top left-hand corner, and it's gonna say, Adobe Spark wants to use your microphone. Please make sure that you allow it to use your microphone. Your students are gonna have that message as well, and oftentimes they're gonna click no, because they're good students and they wanna do what they're supposed to do. They're like, I'm not giving permission for anything, but you do have to give permission to allow the microphone. So that pop-up's gonna come up the very first time you do it. So let me try again. So I'm gonna hold this, and then I'm gonna speak. I promise to feed the dog every day, twice a day. Okay, so if I wanna listen to it, I'll listen to it right here. I promise to feed the dog every day, twice a day. Very important that they know I'll do it twice a day. So I have 2 slides now, I'm ready to go. Let's change the theme. Maybe I wanna do a different theme. Maybe, so the Citizenship Project is my theme. These are my color brands. Maybe I want to do sage. Maybe I want it to be very earthy, and I can use sage, right? There's one. If I like this green, I can change the green, or I can make it this blue slate kind of color. I can use this little switchy icon to shuffle the colors around if I want, right? So let me use this green color here. I think I like that. When you're changing the theme, you're also changing the music and the way it does, because right now you have a full-on project. I just did 2 slides and I have a completed project. So if we want to see it, there's 2 ways to see it. We can click on preview, or we can click down here to see it. So let's click on preview. I promise to feed the dog every day, twice a day. See the captions, right? So those are 2 slides and done. And that's it. The thing is, the scaffolds are there so that your students who need a lot of support they only have to do a few things, but your students who want to get really creative can change a lot of other things. So if you have students who need a little bit more support, maybe they're spending a little bit more time writing their script, maybe they need a little bit more time finding the image, then they can do just that. But your students who are ready to move on, you can have them add more slides. You can resize the project and make it square versus widescreen. You can change the music to make it match whatever you want it to match. You can add your own music. Those are the ways that Adobe Spark will scaffold for you, so your students have an easier time to learn. If you wanted, you can duplicate. Say you're doing slides and you know that 3 of them are going to look exactly the same with just 1 small change. You can duplicate slides from down here, or you can shuffle slides by picking up and moving it around. Very easy way of shuffling slides. Earlier we talked about the computer version versus the iPad version. Both are exactly the same. If you wanted to do any of these tricks on your iPad, you're finding the buttons in the exact same spot. So I'm going to stop there and see what questions you have, and see. Okay, so we have a question here about collaboration. So one question that we had for collaboration was, how does this work in a remote environment if you wanted to collaborate? So with the education environment, you can't actually collaborate. In a remote environment, you cannot collaborate with Adobe Spark. There is no way to share projects. The only way I would do collaboration is if I were in the classroom and the kids would sit together on a device. That's the only way I can really do Adobe Spark that way. But keep in mind that with Adobe Spark, what I would do is, there are some projects where you want it to be a 1-hour project, and then there are some projects where you want it to be a 2-week project, right? This is what I would consider to be a 1-hour project. Something quick, easy, get it up and running. So I hope that, I mean, if you want to share the user's account and password, that's probably not best practice, especially if you're going to be using the education version. When you share the user's account, you now have the user's information for other applications as well. So that might be something that is difficult to do. I wouldn't recommend sharing that. I've used it before and it was free. However, I just checked the site and now it states 2 free months. Does it start to charge now? No, Adobe Spark does not charge. They don't charge for anything. So it might be something that you have in your feature that was an add-on, but the Adobe Spark is free. It's a free platform. And then if you work with your IT department and you can verify your domain with Adobe, then they will give you the free the free education link. Like they will get you all set up for that. Let's see here. So we have, how do you duplicate slides? So when you're in here, there's when you hover over your slide, there's 3 little dots that come over down at the bottom in the far right corner of your slide. So I'm down here at the bottom and I would just click here and that would duplicate the slides for me there. So Next question, how do you change or disable background music? Okay, so I'm here, and if you look up at the top on this, my mouse is up here now, and there's layout, there's theme, so you can choose a theme, you can resize your project, or you can change the music. So here's the music. You can turn it off if you don't want any music at all, or you can turn it on. That's really the only way to do it, and you can decide how loud or how small the music will be. It will automatically do something called ducking, and ducking means that the music will lower when it knows that there's a voice recording. So it will automatically make the voice louder and the music quieter when there is a voice recording there. So you don't have to worry about that. You do have to, I would highly recommend, especially if you have younger students, I highly recommend teaching them how to speak clearly and slowly so that you can hear them. If they don't have a microphone or the earbuds with the microphone, then you're gonna have a hard time hearing the students on this. Okay, so that's background music. And then Minhee, thank you so much for sharing the slides. So to embed narrations, so to embed like captions, I don't believe you can embed captions. I do believe that once you publish it, the captions, you can turn on captions. So let me see here if I can find, I can go to this one. Yeah.
I will keep my laptop safe at all times. I will charge my laptop every night and bring it to school. I will never put my computer on my head. Instead,
that's probably why. This is a little button for turning it on, but I think that's because it's through YouTube. I'm not sure. Let me go to Adobe Spark and see if I can turn on the captions.
Apple is one of the world's most valuable brands. So what makes
So I haven't been able to find the captions unless you use it through YouTube, and YouTube automatically has the captions for you. But what I would do though is, instead of having captions, make what they say, what they type here, the text that they type here. And the fact that they are limited to where the text goes, it really does help make the presentation easier to type. So highly recommend, when you're creating an Adobe Spark video, to start with the script. Always start with the script. And if you have the script ahead of time, you can even send them a template as to what slide is going to be what sentence, and they'll type in the sentence there, and they'll use whatever images they want to use there. I believe the free account, I've never tested it. I've never gone for a long time, but everything that you saw earlier was done with the free account. So I imagine you can do as many slides as you like, because the longer your slides, the larger your file will be. So I imagine that that's going to be, it's unlimited relatively. But again, Adobe Spark in education is free. So the whole suite is free. So it would be, I would use the education version, and then it would be unlimited really. So let's take a look at some of the other resources that they have. Once you're done with your presentation, there's a couple of ways to share it. There's a couple of ways for students to turn it into you. You can download it, and this would download it to your device. Downloading is always hard, especially when you're dealing with media, because the files are so large, right? So when you download something that has music and voice and all that, then you're not able to, it takes up a lot of space on your device. So if you have an iPad, an older iPad, or maybe Chromebooks are a little bit hard with space, it takes a little while to download. So I don't always use the download. You can always share as well. So when you click share, what you would do is you would publish. Oh, look, there is an invite version. Look at that, I can invite. This may be the paid version because I'm using the paid version, but it looks like you can invite. So earlier someone asked about collaboration. Maybe try that out and see if you can collaborate. That might be a new feature that they just launched because of the education sect. So I really do think that this version of publishing and sharing will create this kind of a link so that you can go straight to the video. It makes it a lot easier to see it on the Adobe platform than it is to be able to download the video. Because if you download it, then you can just put it right onto your device. Okay, so you can download or you can share. I highly recommend share, especially because if you're using Google Classroom, you say, please turn in your Adobe Spark video, and then they will say, it'll click on add, and then it'll add a link, and they'll just add the link to their video there. If you're using Seesaw, you can add a link there. If you're using an LMS, you can add it directly to the LMS. So really nice way of being able to export your videos without having to have that space. One of the things that we struggle with when you have devices is having space for media. So if you use the share link, then you don't have to worry about space for media. All right, you guys ready to explore a little bit? So 3 possible things for you to do. You can explore the Adobe Spark for Education website. It's linked right here. You can also, on that website, here's a blog, 9 assignments to kick off the year, because I know we talked about last time, most of you being either already off for summer or really close to being off for summer. So here are some things that you can think about as you start next year. And then if you wanted, you can start looking at some of these activities that engage original thinking and increase activity. Nobody is better at sparking creativity than Adobe. Adobe is the originators of creativity. They are the ones who created Adobe Photoshop. They are the ones who created Adobe Acrobat. They're the ones who allow you to create. So they are the leading creativity experts. So look to them for these types of tools. If you prefer, you can create a template, so something that you can do for yourself. So this template right here is a planning page. So if you wanted, this is something I would just give straight to students. What is your presentation about? Who is your audience? Here's your story. First, then, next, finally. And then page 2 is if you have some students who want to extend the learning. Tell me why you chose the images or the icons that you did. Tell me why you chose your videos and why did you choose that video? And then who's going to give you feedback? So page 1 will get you up and running. Page 2 is for further reflection of the things that you used. If you're interested in that, you can just click here and you get a copy of that template and work on a Spark project. If you do get a chance to work on one, I would love for you to share the link and we can all watch it together. Another option is to explore Adobe's other tools. I told you that Adobe also has 2 other education tools, and one of the tools is Adobe Spark Post, and Post is creating graphics, one-page graphics like Canva. So remember earlier we saw those Instagram stories or Facebook template. So explore Spark Post and see what your kids can create. Your kids could probably create a really cool graphic displaying, if you're studying a literary term, like what does that term mean? Or Adobe Spark Page, which is web page design. So if you're interested in creating a web page, similar to like a Google Sites for a portfolio, it's not as easy to embed things in it, but at least you can use like a get to know me. If you wanted to do all about me, you can do here your information, and then in science I did this project, in math I did this project, and in this I did this project. So really nice, easy web page design if you're interested in that. So I'm going to give you a few minutes. I'm going to answer questions in the chat, but take a few minutes to explore some of these links and go in there and try making something, because if you make something, that's the best way to kind of learn what you want to do. Oh, there's another collaborate button right there. So how did I miss that? That wasn't there before. So take a look around and see if you can build, and I guarantee you in 5 minutes, you can build a finished presentation that you can use as a sample for your students. So Google Site has more features than Adobe Page, right? I agree. The Google Site does have more features in the sense that if you're already using Google, you can embed your slideshows, you can embed your document, you can move text around. Yes, it's more full featured, but so sometimes you want something that's more specific, and sometimes you're like, I just want you to get it done and turn it in. So that's why I would use Site versus Adobe Page. But good question, very good question. Okay, so I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to just kind of think, play around with these links, play around with the tool. If you need to go to Adobe Spark, the website is, I'm going to put it in the chat window right now. Go in, and test it out and see what you think. So as you're finishing up exploring, I did want to show you, we're having a really great conversation in the chat about exporting some Seesaw videos. And the best way I think to, that's such a great idea is, you would add a slide and then you would just add the video. Hopefully, if you have the Seesaw videos already, you could just pull them from your device and then add the video here. So each video would have its own slide. But that's really cool. It's a really neat way of adding all of them together and making a really quick video. So really awesome. Slides versus presentation. I'm not, Tian-An, I'm not sure I understand your question. Are you saying which is better? Are you talking about when you start up with Spark? Like this? Is that what you mean? Like one of these two? Okay. I would always do a slideshow, because a slideshow is an actual video. A presentation is a stagnant, meaning it doesn't change. It's just there and you have to move it yourself. Whereas a slideshow is like a video when you just press play and it'll just go on and on and on. So I like slideshow better. It's more engaging for the viewer. A presentation is something kind of like what I was doing, where you're just kind of scrolling up and down and so forth. But I would do, more often than not, especially if their students are doing it and they're turning it into you, I would have them choose video. So great question. Okay. So I'm just gonna end. Any other questions? And I usually stick around for questions in the chat. Oh, great. Awesome. So we just got a confirmation that collaboration does work. So I will have to explore that. That's new. I haven't seen that yet. And it looks like it's available and open. So I'm going to send an email to another person, my UCI account, and see if I can invite them. So that's really neat. So now we can work together, and I'm just gonna log into my UCI account really quickly and see what happens. So in another window that you guys can't see, I am working on the same presentation. I'm gonna see if I can do presentation at the same time. Spark.adobe.com. Well, look at that. Yeah, I'm in and I am collaborating and working. So that's really nice that I'm able to do that. So it makes it to where things work really well together and everybody can kind of work together. So that's that actually answers the question. Thank you so much for investigating that. I wasn't able to investigate that before we left, but now we know that we can collaborate. Which makes it a little bit more involved, but it'll be a good project either way. Okay, so I just have one really quick final thought. And I talked about how we see creativity and how it is so unique and that it's so important. But it is really a combination of discipline and childlike spirit, right? Without both of those, you won't have anything beautiful and anything really created. And with Adobe Spark being as robust as it is, but also with lots of scaffolds, you get a really quick and easy presentation, nice and easy, fast. So you really want to make sure that you're giving students those scaffolds so that they're proud of whatever it is that they accomplish. So I'm going to stick around and answer questions in the chat, but this is my contact information. If you ever need to get a hold of me, I'm active on Twitter. That's my email address. You're welcome to email me about questions. I believe NRCAL is going to have the slideshow links, so you'll be able to access this apparently forever. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Min-Hee.
Yes, they will be available forever on our website for you to use forever. Yes, please do make use of that, of our website, the NRCAL website. We have a distance learning tab, and not just the educational technology series, but the language specific webinars that we've been doing all throughout starting in April and going up until August. All of the recordings, all of the slides, and any other materials will be posted there for you to use. And we have a question in the chat, but I'll let you, Hue-An, just go back and forth in the chat, and I will wrap up with our last announcements. I hope I won't get in the way of the chat, but I did want to share some links here. Please take a moment to fill out the feedback form, the first link you see. Oops. Okay. So while you share your feedback and answer any questions you have, and chat with Hue-An. Our last webinar, we went through 7 webinars together. And Hue-Han, thank you so much for being here every week and presenting it on all of these 7 different topics. And we have our last one on Apple clips 2 weeks from today, not next week, 2 weeks on July 9th. And again, the Zoom link will be sent to you on Wednesday. And as I mentioned before, all of the past webinar materials are available here on our distance learning page. And the webinar feedback link is in the chat window. Just wanted to remind you that we have online art workshops and professional development learning.
Sorry, Minnie, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I can hear you, Minhee. So I may have to. I can type it in there for her. So it may.
Okay.
Yeah. So keep going. I'm going to type it in there for her.
All right, thank you. We have professional development learning series offered by the Center for Creativity and Critical Thinking. I think I shared the link in the chat. So if you're interested, please sign up using the link. And our last page, if you're interested in pursuing different degrees, the College of Education offers credential programs, master's programs, and doctoral programs. And this is our contact information for NRCAL. If you have any questions, please do reach out. And we'll stay around for a few more minutes for questions. Is there a certificate of completion for this for the seminars? Elena, unfortunately for this series, we don't. We are kind of looking into offering that for our next set of webinars, and we will let you know if it is available. For this set of webinars, unfortunately, no, we don't offer a certificate of completion. Can you show the slide of the art program? Sure. This one here.
Can you share the link of this program?
Yes, I will. I will share it again. So this one right here, the Center for Creativity and Critical Thinking is right here. So if you go there, you can sign up. And I believe for this one, the ones that are being offered by the Center for Creativity and Critical Thinking, they do offer CEU credits if you're interested. All the links on this slide, please. Okay, so, oh, I see. For each of the series. If you go to the link, all of this will be, each of the different events for you to RSVP will be available. The SFCCCT, that link, here, let me show you here. Okay, does it go to the general page? If you go to events, here. So that link that I shared, if you just go to events, all their upcoming workshops are right here. And if you click on the topic, you can RSVP for each of their webinars. Thank you. Thank you, Hue-An.
Thank you.
No worries. Hue-An, are you getting more questions?
Just finishing up my last one right now.
Okay.
I'm all done now.
All right, sounds good. Thank you everyone for your questions. It's good to have this really cozy small group of people, and we see everyone each week. I'll be really sad when this is over. I'll miss you all. So our last,
We've gotten so close.
I know, I feel like we have this bond every Thursday, 4 to 5. But next, 2 weeks from today. So 2 weeks from today is our last webinar. I hope all of you can join us. Thank you, Hue-An, again for the wonderful presentation and for such an engaging presentation on this topic. Okay, well, have a good evening, rest of the evening. That's it from us. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.